Greetings, friends. In the spring of 2019, my dear friend and colleague Reb Tzemach Glenn took me to the Lower East Side of Manhattan and introduced me to the Gaon Harav David Feinstein Zecher Tzadik Livracha. If you have read my book, From Central Park to Sinai, How I Found My Jewish Soul, you will know that I was raised in the Upper East Side, which was a different universe from the Lower East Side. The Upper East Side was the province of assimilated Jews who distanced themselves as much as possible from their Torah-observant brethren and tried to hide their roots in an effort to assimilate into American culture, which was all about materialism and the technological paradise, in quotes, which it was attempting to build. These Jews looked down on their religious brethren in order to rationalize their own rebellion from the ways of our fathers. The classic example of this is the New York Times, the newspaper founded by assimilated German Jews, which is infamous for its bias against observant Jews and the state of Israel. Thank God I never felt comfortable in this milieu. Although I did not want to identify as a Jew, I tried one path after another until finally, at the age of 31, when we met Rebbetzin Esther Young Rice, may she rest in peace, I discovered that there's no true way of life in this world except the Torah way. Thank you, Hashem, for rescuing me. There's an old yeshiva on the Lower East Side called Mesivta Tiferes Yerushalayim, finally known as MTJ. It is there that Rabbi Moshe Feinstein Zatzal, the great leader of American Jewry, presided for decades. And it is there that his son, Rabbi David Feinstein, presided in his place until a few weeks ago when he left this world. His father's desk still sits in the base medrash, untouched since his passing. I had never been inside MTJ until Tzemach Glenn took me there. The sanctity of the place seeps out of the old woodwork. Here, there's nothing but Torah and chesed, the pervasive feeling of spiritual comfort that surrounds places which are bastions of Torah. It is like inhaling the ketoris, the incense in the holy temple. The blessing is in the air and it fills your soul. Tzemach and I had come to try to obtain a haskama, a letter of rabbinical approbation from Rabbi Feinstein for my forthcoming book, Hold On, Surviving the Days Before Mashiach. I had never met Rabbi Feinstein before that. He was a warm person with a huge smile. He was straight as an arrow. It seemed that he himself was awed by the Torah which surrounded him. He seemed to exemplify the words of our morning prayer, quote, "What are we? What is our righteousness? What can we say before you, Hashem? Are not the wise as if devoid of wisdom?" You know what awed me about Rabbi Feinstein? He refused to give my book a haskama. Think about it. He had nothing against the book, but in his honesty, he said, "I don't know you, and I don't know the book. How can I endorse something I don't know?" Yes, he could have offered to read the book, or he could have skimmed it quickly, but he had no time to read it carefully because the weight of the world was on his shoulders. So he said, "No, my friends, this is called yashrus, straightness. It is what we need in this world. honesty, humility. This also means honesty and self-appraisal, willingness to see our own faults and virtues in an effort to live a pure life in front of Hashem. Rabbi David Feinstein was from the old generation, the generation that is leaving us quickly, like leaves dropping off the trees in the autumn wind. We are bereft, my friends, because there is no one to replace such exalted souls. In this week's Parsha, we meet Yaakov Avinu, the father of the 12 tribes, and the crown of the patriarchs. Yaakov Avinu was destined to die in Mitzrayim, in biblical Egypt, as the archetypal gullus, the first exile, was about to begin. At the end of the Egyptian exile, just before Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, led his people out, the world of our fathers was bleak and bitter. They were being tortured, and there was no one left from the old generation to save them. The 12 tribes, the fathers of Am Yisrael, were all gone. As the Torah tells us, Yosef died, and all his brothers, and that entire generation. My friends, the entire generation of the great European rabbis is leaving us. They are almost all gone, and we are bereft, we are alone, and we are suffering. As it says, the children of Israel groaned, and they cried out. What are we going to do? To whom will we turn? My friends, we are close to the bottom. And they were also close to the bottom in ancient Egypt. This is when our ancestors called out to Hashem. Their outcry went up to God. God heard their moaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Yitzchak, and with Yaakov. May he hear our cries and send our righteous Redeemer soon in our days. Good Shabbos.